Let me go through how to install Git on a Windows machine. So we first need to download the installer. What we need to do is go over to git-scm.com/downloads. And don't worry, you can just check the description for this link. Once we arrived at this page, we just click the download for Windows button right here. It takes us to another page, and now we can get the latest version by clicking on the click here to download button. Now that we've downloaded the file, we can go ahead and open it up. Make sure you allow this app to make changes to your computer and go ahead and hit yes. Now we need to go through all of the setup. The first thing here is a license, and you can read over this if you want, but you can hit next to go to the next screen. Now we need to select a folder to install the Git binaries. Just choose any folder on your system. I'm going to leave it at the default, which is program files /git. Once you choose a folder, hit next. Now you can select all of the components that you want to install from this installer. The first option is adding an icon to the desktop. The second option is adding a right-click menu. So when you click right-click on a file, it will allow you to open up Git bash in this particular folder or open up the Git GUI in that folder. Then we have a selection for large file support. We also can associate .git files with our default text editor. We can also associate .sh files to be ran in the Git bash terminal. These are usually files that are associated with Linux distros, but you can run them in the bash terminal. Next, you have a daily check for any Git updates that might have occurred, and then you can add a Git bash profile to the Windows terminal, and that will add a new file that allows you to put configurations in for the Git bash terminal. Next, you can add Scalar, which is a command line tool that helps with large-scale repositories. Once you've selected all of the components that you want, we can hit next. Now it's asking if we want to add a start menu folder. We can either add it and name it whatever we want, or we can say don't create a start menu folder. Then we can hit next. Now here's where we can set the default text editor that Git will use. Right now it defaults to Vim, but we can use any of the text editors in this menu, as well as select a text editor that's inside of our system that may not come in this list. We have things like Nano, Notepad++, VS Code, VS Code Insiders, Sublime Text, Atom, VS Codium, Notepad, and WordPad. So go ahead and select the editor that's useful for you. I'll select VS Code and then hit next. Now here's where we set our default branch name when we first initialize a Git repository. We can either let Git decide what the branch name will be, or we can override it with our own name. We could say main instead of using master. And so that's what I'll do and then hit next. Now this part adds our Git command line tool to either our path environment variable or leave it empty. We also have an option down here to add Unix tools to our path. This allows us to only use Git within the Git bash terminal as opposed to using it in like the command prompt or PowerShell, or we allow Git to be used inside of command prompt or PowerShell, or we can also allow the Unix tools like find and sort and sh inside of the command prompt or PowerShell terminals. Once you've made your choice, go ahead and hit next. Now we have the choice of using the bundled OpenSSH executable whenever we're using SSH, or if we already have OpenSSH installed elsewhere, we can use external OpenSSH and it will grab that executable from the path environment variable. Once you've made your selection, hit next. Now this is asking what we would like to use in order to resolve HTTPS connections. There will be a certificate file associated with an HTTPS connection, and your computer will need to verify in order to confirm that that is a valid connection. So we can either use OpenSSL or we can use Windows Secure Channel Library in order to validate those certificates. I'm just going to leave it as the recommended, which is the native Windows Secure Channel Library, and then hit next. Now whenever you're editing a file, whether you're on Windows or Linux or Mac, you'll have different line endings for each file whenever you save them. So this option is asking how we want to deal with line endings whenever we check in code or whenever we pull down code. The first option will check out in Windows style line endings regardless of how they were checked in, and will always commit with Unix style line endings. This is the recommended approach to keep things consistent throughout all of the machines that are editing files on your repository. The second option doesn't change them whenever they're checked out and commits them as Unix style line endings. And the third option doesn't change it either way. Whether you're editing and you change the line endings or not, it just checks them in as is and also checks them out as is. So we'll keep the recommended option here and then hit next. Now in order for Git bash to work effectively, it needs to use an emulator. So here we can use MinTTY, or Minty as some people call it, which is the default terminal for MSys2, which a lot of Microsoft systems rely on for Linux style terminal emulation. But you do have the option to just use Git inside of the Windows default console window, so like your command prompt. However, you may run into some visual bugs or visual inconsistencies when you're using the command prompt for git bash. So then we can hit next again, and now it's asking us a default behavior for the git pull command. This will really be based on preference, so you can either choose fast forward or merge, rebase, or only ever fast forward. I'll leave it at fast forward or merge and then hit next. Now this is asking if you want to install the Git credential manager and use it, or use no credential helper. Git credential manager makes it real easy to deploy and do things inside of Git and makes it seamless. So I would suggest using Git credential manager, but you could also choose none and then hit next. Lastly, before we finally install, we have the ability to enable file system caching. I would keep this checked because it improves performance by a lot. And we also have enable symbolic links. I would also keep this checked because it's very useful to keep system storage usage low. Once you decide on these two options, we can hit install and watch it finish. Now, once it's finished, we're done with the setup wizard, and we could either launch git bash or open the command line and check to see if git works. So once git bash opens up, it looks like this, and we can now run the git command to see the git help output and the list of all available subcommands that we can use inside of Git. And that's how we install Git on a Windows operating system.